We're going to start PVA off with the original funnelweb system. If you've never seen it before, or you've never fished with it before, where have you been? Have you never seen a magazine or seen a TV show about fishing or anything? Because it's everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And what we're going to do here is show you how easy it is to tie a bag and give you some good little tips on how to get more from the system. But first of all, this is why I use PVA. Right, we get two hook baits, okay? Consider they're both hook baits. Which one of those two is more attractive to the carp? Thought about it? It's got to be that one, hasn't it? It can't be that one on its own. They're both just as good as a hook bait, but that one's got another little pile of food around it. And that's why I use PVA all the time. There are three different systems. They do three completely different jobs. So let's have a look at the funnelweb system first of all. For those of you that haven't seen the system before, it comes in a protective plastic tube. It's actually got a diagram on the outside of how to do it. Just take the inner tube out, and on that is 5 meters of PVA stocking with a knot tied in the end there. You're probably going to guess how I'm going to do this. Now I'm going to bring my pellet mix in. I've got 3 different kinds of pellet in there. I've got some bloodworm pellets from Mainline, some response pellets from Mainline, and some halibut pellets from BaitTech. And the reason I've got 3 different kinds of pellets is they all fly up into the fish's mouth at different rates, so it's got to keep sucking to get the whole lot there, and then hopefully the hook bait's going to go in as well. And they've all got different breakdown times, so you're going to get a leakage of attraction coming off them pellets at different rates. So just a tiny amount of going down. That's a major thing that people do wrong with PVA, is they use far too many pellets in the bag. You're just trying to hook them, you're not trying to feed them. So that is the maximum that I'll use in one of these kind of bags. Just pour it down there, let some drop down. That's the thing that a lot of people do wrong. They don't let enough PVA off the end of the tube. So that bag's starting to form already. And then I'll do a simple overhand knot, like a simple granny knot. You see the knot there? And then I'll hold the bag at the very top and then pull the knot down onto the top of the bag. So I've got a nice tight bag there. And you probably guess what I'm going to do next. I'm going to do another simple overhand knot. You see that knot there? And then I'm going to pull that knot down so it's close to the first one. And then I cut between the two. That's your bag done. And then your system is ready for another go. And it is as simple as that. Put that back in the tube, and then hooking it on, I've got a little tiny pellet, a 10mm pellet on the rig there. And that's another great tip. The smaller the size of the stuff in the bag, the smaller your hook bait should be. The worst thing you can do is use little tiny dust pellets, even smaller than the ones I'm using today, and then couple that with a 20mm boilie, because those fish are feeding on those little pellets. And when they suck that boilie and it doesn't go up in their mouth because it's miles heavier, they can leave it. So keep your hook bait similar. Just hook that on so you can see. That's just hooked through the side of the bag away from the knot, because the knot is the last thing to melt, and that's ready to go. Just cast it out like that and you're away. The other advantage of using bags this size is they cast really easily, and because they only take a few seconds to make up, if you cast them in the wrong spot, which we all do, it's simple enough to wind it in, make another bag and cast it out again. And if you spent 10 minutes making a solid PVA bag, which is huge and difficult to cast, and then you get that in the wrong spot, there's less likelihood you're going to wind it in because it's such a pain to do another one. So if you've used funnelweb quite a bit, there's a few little tips I can give you for spicing up your mix a little bit. So we put that down and we show you the mix again. So we've got a nice mix of pellets, and there's a few liquids that you can actually put in them. First of all, the pellet syrups. They're really good. You can just pour them straight onto them. Just chuck that on there. You can't overdo these, completely impossible to overdo them. And I'm going to use my compressor stick just to mix that in. That's the halibut one. Doesn't melt PVA. And just spices them up. You can really smell that halibut smell. Fish absolutely love fish oils and fishy smells. And that's just spice that up straight away. Just one little thing like that can get you extra bites. There's another couple of things that you can add to the pellets as well to spice them up a little bit. The hook bait dip for one, that you put on the boilies normally, a little dribble of that on top is going to add pulling power, and also Foss oil, which is a really thick fish oil. In the summer it's brilliant, in the winter it's no good because it congeals, but fish absolutely love fish oil. A little dribble of that on your pellets will add pulling power as well. Now when you've used the system up, there are 2 refills. That's the one that comes on the system, a 3-season refill. That'll still melt in about 1.5 minutes, even in the winter, because we've reduced the amount of PVA in it recently to bring the melt time down as low as humanly possible. And then there's a 4-season refill as well, which is a micro mesh. So the holes are even smaller than the one you've just seen, so you can get tiny, tiny dust pellets in, and most importantly, maggots. Maggots are brilliant in a funnel web system. If you couple it with a few maggots on a maggot clip, especially in the winter, you can get bites when nothing else is working. And next up, it's the boilie funnel web, slightly smaller than the original funnel web, and you can still use that for putting pellets down, and it'll actually make a smaller bag, which means you can cast it further. And if you are going to do that, I recommend you keep the hook bait as small as possible. So one of those new dumbbells from Mainline will be absolutely perfect. But it wasn't for that. It was designed to be used with boilies. And what I'm going to do now is make a stringer without the PVA string going through the middle. It's actually going to be on the outside, so it doesn't matter how cold the water is, it can still attack the PVA. The baits will burst open and you've got a lovely little spread of bait. So let's do that now. So take it out of the protective tube as always, get that out of the way, just get that back down onto there. And a little tip, if this is falling off the end of the tube, when you first get it, if you just dab the end of the PVA, it will hold it nice and tight on that end there and stop it all falling off the end. You get a little bit fall off the end, but you can always put it back on again pretty easily. I'm going to get 3 boilies, 1, 2, 3 through there, and then let those drop down. Make sure you've got loads of PVA to work with, and what you want to do before you tie the bag is put the baits slightly out of line, like that. The reason for doing that will become clear in a second. We do our simple overhand knot again, and pull the knot down as tight as you can onto those boilies, and then another overhand knot, and again as close together as possible. That means you waste as little PVA as possible, because that's the beauty of this system, you're not wasting any PVA. Cut between the two. Right, now just straighten those boilies out to put that PVA under more tension, and what's going to happen when I cast that, it's going to go beautifully straight, and when it goes into the water, as the PVA melts, it will contract and it will get tighter and tighter and tighter, and in the end it will burst and it'll actually throw the baits apart. Now when you're fishing a normal stringer with the string going through the middle, the baits are always in a straight line, and if the fish are used to seeing that, they can shy away from it. So if your baits spread apart a little bit, it's going to be a random pattern every single time you cast out, so the fish can't associate it with danger. So to attach this to the hook link, I'm not putting another bait on. One of these baits is going to become the hook bait. So I get my little fine gate latch needle that just goes through one of the baits at either end, doesn't matter which end, and then I'm going to bring the hair into play just by hooking that onto the latch, onto that little hook of the gate latch needle. I'm just going to spin that round because I'm right-handed, and then just pull the hair through that bait. So that's now sort of semi-attached, and then to stop it pulling back through, I'll get my hair stops, a long little strip of hair stops, because I can break it off once it's on, and then I've just pulled that, you see there? Just pulled that and stopped that getting off of there, and then that just breaks away. So that's how it will sit on the cast. And then once it's in the water, the PVA will obviously melt, the whole thing will explode, that bait will be attached, and these two will be round it. And there's just a nice little mouthful of food, and that's the way that Damien and myself won the British Championships, just casting 2 bait stringers effectively over the top of a spod mix. There were loads of bream in the lake, and if we put bags of pellet on, we caught a bream straight away. But we worked out in practicing, if we fished boilie stringers over the top of the spod mix, we didn't catch any bream, and we caught loads of carp. And the last thing to do is just to stop it tangling on the cast, is to just hook through the PVA like that. So if I hold it up for you, that's just going to hang lovely and straight. It's not going to flay around on the cast, and when that gets to the bottom, it's going to explode. So that's all we've got time for today. As you can see, the light is dropping. I've got 3 zig rigs out which haven't roared off today, so I'm going to get the rods back in, get them clipped up again, get some rigs on for the night, obviously fishing on the bottom, a little bit of spod mix over the top, and in the morning I'm going to show you the final funnel web system, the long chuck.